No one can lift the damn thing. It's full of charts and facts and figures and instructions for dancing. I love it when you read to me, and you can read me anything. The book of love is long and boring and written very long ago. It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes and things we're too young to know. You can give me anything, and I ought to give you anything.
Good morning, and welcome to the online service of the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. We will begin with our land acknowledgement. The city of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. As settlers, we continue to benefit from the land and its resources. As settlers, we must ask ourselves how or if we have shared and cared for the earth and its gifts. Facing the truth is hard. Truth must come before reconciliation. My name is Tim Versteeg, and I will be your service leader this morning. Our sermon will be given by our interim minister, Reverend Jamie Boyce, and our musicians this morning are Rachel Derry, Beverly Horton, Cindy Carey, Joanne Deere, Bruce Jones, and Marianne Forbes. Technical support for this morning's service is provided by Bruce McPherson and myself. Our opening words are written by Patrick Murphin and are from the UUA collection Lifting Our Voices. Love is the only magic,
It enriches the giver.
as it nourishes the object
It serves the instant.
and washes over the ages.
It is as particular as the moon.
And as universal as the heavens.
If returned, it is multiplied.
Yet spurned, it is not diminished. Our chalice represents the light of hope at the center of our faith tradition. The spark of this flame draws us into our time of worship and community. Please join me in reading the chalice lighting words now shared on the screen with us. May this flame be our light
of
of
friendship
friendship and
and
love.
love. Good morning. My name is Reverend Jamie Boyce, and as Tim shared, I have the great joy and privilege of serving First Unitarian as the interim minister. Today, we gather to reflect on the touch point of love in our lives and in our faith. It's an invitation to hold curiosity and intrigue as we huddle close and prepare for winter in the warmth of community, noticing the privilege that many of us hold, and open our lives towards sharing the gift of love, care, affirmation, and concern that enlivens our community. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your life journey, you are welcome here. Let us open our hearts and minds as we gather for worship on this glorious day.
Number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, and we are going to sing this 3 times through. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, 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 whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, yet again come, yet again come.
This morning's story for all ages is I Am Love, a book of compassion written by Susan Verde and illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. When I see someone going through a storm of hurt and unfairness, of anger and sadness, when the sun disappears and the sky grows dark, and I see there is fear, I ask myself, what can I do to help let the light back in? I put my hands on my heart and listen. And that is where I find the answer. I have compassion. I act with tenderness. I am love. I can listen and not say a word. I can be there. Love is being present. I can hug and hold and say everything will be all right. Love is comfort. I can speak softly and choose my words and actions carefully. Love is gentle. I can give thanks for all I have and am able to share. Love is gratitude. I can keep my mind and body safe and healthy. because love is taking care of me. I can express what's important to me. Love is creative. I can know that no one is perfect. Love is understanding. I can do my best to make things better when something is wrong. Love is effort. I can celebrate those I've loved before. Love is remembering. I can find goodness in a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared smile. Love is tiny gestures. I can breathe in the air that the whole world shares and know all creatures are made from the very same stardust. Love is connection. When the clouds roll in for others and for me, I know now there is something I can do. I can let my heart lead the way. I am love. You are love. We are love. And with love, we will weather the storm and light up the sky together. Love is so many things: understanding, connection, remembering. How did love manifest in your lives this week?
Number 346, come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
After all these years, that remains one of my most favorite songs. I hear the endurance of the rose and the sharing of love amongst friends. I hear the seasons and the blossoming of care and the knowing of people discovering each other. It's beautiful. And there is a thread of joy that rings in that song that always fills me with excitement and reaches into my heart. This week, I had the great joy of meeting with several of our elders in our First Unitarian community for a tea conversation. In the course of our long discussion and in the telling of many wonderful stories, the elders of our community offered me an invitation to reflect on Remembrance Day. They taught me much about the importance of this day and their lives as they shared their memories. Their stories inspired me to remember my grandparents, their service, and hold their memories close with tenderness and gratitude, even as I felt the emotional complexity of history deep in my bones. I'm grateful for this invitation to remember the love, to remember history, and to hold gratitude in my heart. And although Remembrance Day has passed this week, let us pause in a time of collective silence and attune our hearts to those who will remain with us in spirit. May there be peace in our hearts and peace in the world.
May I be well. May I breathe deeply. May my heart be at peace. May you be well. May you breathe deeply. May your heart be at peace. May we be well. May we breathe deeply. May our hearts be at peace. May all be well. May all breathe deeply. May our hearts be at peace.
Our theme this month is liberation. Together, we are exploring the practice and imagination of freedom for people and the earth. In our chalice groups, we are undertaking deep, transformative conversations about liberation and change, grounding them in theology, poetry, and lived experience, while also engaging in discussions that affirm and challenge as a path for spiritual growth. One of the things I've noticed as I was preparing for this talk and reflecting on readings for chalice groups is just how often we will be talking about love. Not a mushy, gushy love, although there's certainly a place for that in our lives, but a fiery love that changes the world. It becomes clear that love grounds the logic of our action and webs our community together in connection and covenant. It's the tagline for the Canadian Unitarian Council: independence, love, and justice, defining who we are in a delicious soundbite. In our Unitarian Universalist sources, we name it twice: Words and deeds of prophetic people challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. And we name it as Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbor as ourselves. Our sources inform and ground our faith for inspiration and direction. And we might also notice how the sources emphasize a relational dynamic. Loving transforms injustice and evil and brings us into a moral relationship with our neighbors and with ourselves. It is deeply, deeply relational and the work of community. We might look even closer and discover our universalist roots that proclaim a divine love so enormous and powerful that it redeems all people. Our connection to Christian universalism is an important legacy. We inherit an imagination of love that does not ignore human imperfection and suffering. It's restorative, transformative, personal, and political. And as was made evident by Clarence Skinner when he wrote The Social Implications of Universalism in 1915, it was a treatise that addressed the sufferings and injustice of the modernity of his time. The first lines are breathtaking. Skinner starts his foreword with this question: how to transform this old earth into the kingdom of heaven? That's the primal question. For thousands of years, sad-eyed men have looked upon this war-racked and greed-broken world, yearning to gather it into their great healing love. Skinner goes on to offer a theology that connects a God of love and justice to a human mandate to create a world of love and justice as a natural extension of that relationship. With the problem of salvation solved, human beings can focus on eliminating suffering in this life and create the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven on earth. This kind of love is available to us as a source of inspiration and direction. Yet we don't always get gritty with this history, with the implications of the tradition we inherit. Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt shared this message in 2018 in a sermon she gave at the Service for the Living Tradition. And it was also shared as part of a reflection on Unitarian Universalist theology in widening the circle of concern. Reverend Dr. Betancourt shares, "We are the theological inheritors of teachings on universal salvation. There is no winnowing out of the supposedly unworthy that can be named sacred among us. It is our very universalism that is at stake when we turn away from the impact that our institutions have on the same communities and groups that society encourages us to dehumanize and make small. Inheriting this tradition excites and inspires me. It makes my heart glow as I imagine the possibilities for our Unitarian Universalist communities and for the world as we get clear that our very faith is on the line. It also meets me in a practical, liberating, social and moral ethic of love that realizes without hesitation, as Bell Hooks also reminds us, that love is a verb. It is an embodied feeling and a doing in the world that unfurls healing, justice, reverence, and hope. Love returns us to our sacred human connection and interconnection with people and the earth, as it calls us to be agents of change in our congregations, our communities, and world. And We are once again wise to resist romanticizing love's affective power and miss an important truth. Christian ethicist Reverend Dr. Tracy West gave a talk at the Revolutionary Love Conference at Middle Church in New York City that morally disrupted the tendency of faith communities to cast love as a saving and connectional theology while erasing the way that love hides and homes violence. Dr. West reminds us that the logic of love is dangerous and destructive at times. It can be weaponized in physical and emotional abuse and leverages power in dehumanizing ways. A spirit of love alone will not by itself readjust and redistribute power in equitable and liberating ways. We need to hold fast to our moral compass and resist love as a universalizing framework for solving problems that ignores how injustice demeans and dehumanizes people and the planet. Love requires accountability and community in order for it to truly flourish. In January of 2021, the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Association issued a statement that identified love as a common theological core. They shared, "We assert that our deepest common theological grounding and value is this: love." Such a graceful and frankly profound assessment of our theological spaces seems obvious, perhaps, yet it was missed in the 2005 assessment that sought to search out and define a common theological frame for Unitarian Universalists. Yet, there it is, peeking through our faith, luring us in. Our Unitarian Universalist community is also that moral compass, attuned to justice, equity, and freedom and care as we take loving action to live out this common ground. We have a community to journey with as we live bold, brave, loving lives. I notice love showing up as witness, as acts of witness and restoration in the world. I notice it in the ongoing process of affirming the value and worth of all people in the earth, witnessing the suffering and injustice and taking responsibility for change that is rooted in a fiery, passionate, and committed love. We are in a season to love radiantly, relentlessly, and fearlessly as an antidote to isolation, loneliness, and grief that has moved through our world in such a ravaging way. It's unearthed individual and collective woundedness. It is an antidote to injustice, especially as we harness the fiery faith that stirs change. We have an opportunity as we return to the warmth of community, gather around the hearth of love to be bold and awkward and courageous, following the moral compass of our shared tradition to bring the beloved community into being. This life, this world matters. The flourishing of all people in the earth is at hand, and we are here to love it into being. May it be so.
Number 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace. Let this be a house of peace, of nature and humanity, of sorrow and elation. Let this be our Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of freedom, guardian of dignity and worth held deep inside us. Let this be our house, a platform for the free voice, where all our sacred differences here shall not divide us. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let all in this house seek truth, where scientists and mystics abide in reverence here. Let this be our house, a house of our creation, where works of art and melodies consecrate the atmosphere. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of prophecy. May vision for our children be our common theme. Let this be our house of myth and lore and legend, our trove of ancient story and cradle of our tender dreams. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace.
Go, beloveds, into the world, reading from the book of love. May the light of your lives be nourished by relationship. May you discover connection and care, and may your light shine out into the world, changing it with your love. We extinguish this chalice, but not the fire in our hearts, until we meet again.